how would you like to make your first million? And today we have Raymond Aaron, which is the founder of the Raymond Aaron Group. And we are here for a trip because this is one of the greatest speakers that this world have, and we have an enormous pleasure to have him here. I've been in his courses, and I also share a stage with him in some events, like Les Brown in London. So I've been in both sides, sitting in your seminars, Raymond, and also speaking along yourself. So it's a great pleasure to have you here. So tell us, Raymond, what are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Well, let me just introduce myself a little bit. I am a New York Times top 10 best-selling author. I've indeed written 147 books, but I do admit I am an overachiever. And for the last 43 years, I've been traveling around the world, teaching my brand of wisdom and wealth to people all around the world. 5,000 speeches in 50 cities, in 50 cities in 5 continents around the world. And then when the lockdown came, I reverted to Zoom, as most people have, and now I fly around the world by Zoom instead of by airplane. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Harry on stage with me and also in my audience. So we've had a nice, sweet interaction, and many of the people that he knows I also know because we are friends with some of the most famous people in the world. And I'm honored, Harry, to be on your show. And I do know my 5 steps of ensuring that you make your first million. Now, it sounds maybe a bit pompous or overstated to say ensuring as if it's easy. And the answer is it's not easy because almost nobody gets there. But there is an assured way to get there, which is not that difficult. So you might say, well, if it's not that difficult, why don't more people make their first million or many millions? And the answer is because most people give up on themselves. It's very sad. They give up on themselves. They just don't have what it takes inside them to stay connected to their path for a long time. If you think of the people who are very wealthy, they stick to the same path for a long time. Elon Musk, when he buys, let's say, shares of Coca-Cola, he buys them and he holds them for 30 years. He's not a day trader. He doesn't flip in and out. Or he doesn't, after a couple of years of trading stock, decide, oh, maybe I'll switch to crypto. Oh, maybe I'll decide to join a network marketing program. Oh, maybe I'll have a side hustle. No wealthy person does that. They choose one thing, they stick to it, and most people can't. In any case, you don't want to know how bad people are. You want me to inspire people to be good. And so I have, as you requested, prepared 5 steps. And the first one is you must be branded. You must be branded. Let me give you well, first of all, let me define it. Branding is making you special, even if you're not. You have to brand yourself to be special. And you might say, well, isn't that boasting? No. Boasting is what you say about yourself. Branding is what other people say about you. So if Tony Robbins says, I'm the greatest life coach in the world, that's boasting. If somebody else says, Tony Robbins, he's the greatest life coach in the world, that's branding. So each person, Harry and I, and all the wonderful people you see in his background, like Les Brown, Marie Diamond, all the other people that we both know that were in the movie The Secret, they're all branded. When people think of me, they think of the chicken soup guy, because I'm the only man in the world who's ever written 2 chicken soup for the soul books. When people think of Ken Honda. I just saw Ken Honda in your background. He's a dear friend of mine. They think of him as the Tony Robbins of Japan. So people who are famous are branded. In fact, people who are branded get famous, and you must get branded. Now, some people make a mistake. Realtors, estate agents, think if they belong to Remax, then they're branded. But that's a mistake. It's Remax that's branded, not them. Because if they leave Remax, their brand's away. And so they have to be individually branded. So I branded some realtors as, I help you sell your home for more than it's worth. Whoa. See, if 5 people are in front of me and I have to choose one, and I'm trying to sell my home, and one person says, I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for 20 years. Another person says, I've been a realtor who's won the President's Award. Like, all realtors have won all kinds of awards. But if one realtor actually says a brand, I'm the realtor that helps you sell your home for more than it's worth, whoa, I'm going to that realtor. And let's think of a dentist. A dentist has to go to university, get a bachelor's degree, and then study another 4 years to finally get his dentistry degree. So you might say that's a good brand, but it's not. If you're not a dentist, then you all look up to dentists because they do good work. You have a pain in your tooth, you go to a dentist, the pain goes away. Thank God for dentists. But once you're a dentist, you're the same as all other dentists. And that's why people say that they're a dentist, or a coach, or a podcast host. As long as you say that you're something, you're drowning in the sea of sameness. You must get branded. And probably the best way to get branded is to write a book. And people have an imagination that writing a book is extremely difficult. That's why it's so wonderful, because having written so many books, I found out all the shortcuts. I found out all the things you shouldn't do because they don't help you get any pages written, all the things that people think you're supposed to do, but you shouldn't. And then all the things you should do that people don't know about. I figured it all out. And now I can write books really quickly, not just books, good books, not just good books, great books, not just great books that will help a lot of people and make you a lot of money. And I have helped thousands of people write a book. And indeed, I also publish their book for them. So I offer that wonderful service to help. And I could give lots more examples. I have lots of branding stories. But let's go on to the second one. And then if Harry wants me to dive deeper into any one of the 5, I'm happy to do it. The second item that you need in order to make your first million is you must observe. You must notice. You must notice what Steve Jobs called a hole in the universe. In other words, you have to find something that is not being offered. Maybe it's being offered in a different profession, but not in yours. Or maybe it's being offered in another country, but not in yours. Or maybe it's being offered to a certain age group, but not this other age group. In other words, you have to find a hole in the universe that you'll be known for. And I'll give you an example. Near my home, not this home, I live way out in the country. I don't have neighbors. The rule during lockdown is you have to be 6 feet away from anybody else. Out here, I'm 6 miles away from anybody else. Anyways, when I lived before in the downtown area, there were 3 fitness studios right within a block of me. And 2 of them were mostly empty. And one of them was jammed night and day. It went 24 hours, jammed night and day. The first fitness center said fitness center. The second fitness center said fitness center. So they were just a gym. They were just a fitness center. But the third one said fitness center for diabetics. And when I first heard it, I said, there's that many diabetics that they could have their own fitness center? And it was jammed. So I walked in and I asked the owner, I said, listen, I'm a business coach. I would like to understand your reasoning. And he said, those other 2 that think they're competitors, they're just any old gym. Anybody could go there, and so nobody does. But people come from all over the city. They probably drive past 30 fitness centers to get to the one that caters to diabetics. And he says, we do have specialists on staff about diabetics. We do something specially. But most of what we do is the same as what everybody does. But because we're branded, they drive way out of their way to come to us. And we used to be open 8 hours a day. We couldn't handle everybody. So instead of getting more expensive rent, we just stayed open around the clock. So that's an example of observing what's needed. Now, he could have said fitness center for geriatrics, for old people. And I would say, oh my gosh, I'm 81 years old. I think I should go there. He could have said fitness center for people who have high blood pressure. Like, you observe what's going on in the world and find a hole in the universe. And I'll tell you, when I was 39 years old, Harry, I was $100,000 in debt. I had just been divorced. I just lost my job. I had zero income. For a 39-year-old guy to be living with mommy and daddy because he didn't have a job, 50 pounds overweight, that much in
Wow.
debt, I was in shape.
Wow.
And I noticed that there was this guy, Robert Allen, who was teaching the principles of how to buy real estate for nothing down in the United States. Now, there's a 5,000-mile border between Canada and the United States. We're really, really close. We're 1 inch away from the United States, but he never came to Canada. Now, Canadians heard about it because we get American news, but he came to Canada. And so I put an ad in the paper that said, come here, Raymond Aaron, in person. Think of that audacity. I'd never given a speech before in my life. Come here, Raymond Aaron, in person. Tell you how to buy real estate for nothing down in Canada. People flocked to see me because I found a hole in the universe. I observed that thousands of people, thousands of Americans were Robert Allen in America, but there was nobody in Canada offering nothing down in Canada. And Canadians don't like to learn American real estate with American legislation. It doesn't apply in Canada, different laws. And so my first experience of being on stage was extremely successful for me. I made a lot of money, and extremely successful for my clients because I did teach them how to do that. So number one, you have to get branded. Number two, you have to observe what's missing. Don't just, well, for example, one of my clients, her name is Jennifer Chichi, and the reason I'm using her is because she lives in England, and she was a broke nutritionalist. She graduated as a nutritionalist. And why was she broke? Because she was, wait for it, a nutritionalist. If you had cancer, if you had diabetes, if you had a heart attack, if you had kidney problems, she could design a food regimen for you. So she wasn't branded. She could do anything for anybody. Nobody would refer her because she could do anything, just like any nutritionalist could do anything. And I said to her, do you want to be rich? Yeah. Do you want to help a lot of people? Yeah. Then you have to have a niche. You have to do something specific. I don't want you to do everything for everybody. She says, now, is there a particular problem in nutrition that you like to solve? She said, yes, lunches for my kids. And I said, why is that so special? She said, think about it. If I make really, really, really healthy lunches, my kids get for sugar pops from their friends. And if I make really bad, unhealthy lunches, my kids will eagerly eat it, but that defeats the purpose. So it has to be healthy, but not too healthy. And so I said, write a book. And she did. And her book is called Not Just Sandwiches. Her name is Jennifer Chichi. The book sells like crazy in England. You can get it easily.
Oh, the title
And,
is amazing. Great
and
title.
she became the go-to gal. Anytime there was an issue of food in schools, she was on nationwide television or nationwide radio because I branded her. She's not just a nutritionalist. She's the lunchbox doctor. And when she started calling herself the lunchbox doctor, and her book was Not Just Sandwiches, suddenly she was nationwide famous. The third is courage. Just because you're branded and just because you found a hole in the universe doesn't mean you're going to do anything. So, for example, when I was traveling through Europe, I live in Canada, I noticed the smart car, and it wasn't available in Canada. But I didn't have the courage I didn't have the, I don't know, $10 million that I would need to start bringing thousands of smart cars and import them into Canada. And so I didn't do it. So there's an example. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the courage. It wasn't my expertise. But most businesses don't need that much expertise or that much money. And so most people get stopped there. An example of somebody who never gets stopped is Elon Musk. He noticed that the way that space worked before he came along was that they would take a rocket ship, put it up into the space, and then throw away most of the ship. It would just disconnect and fall into the ocean. And Elon Musk said, imagine how expensive cars would be if every time you drove it to the office, you had to throw it away and had to buy a brand new car every day. So he invented the only rocket ship that on its return would turn around and land and could be reused. So he had the courage to start a rocket ship company. He had the courage to start an electronic vehicle company. He had the courage to start what's called the Boring Company, which has tunnels underneath cities so there's no traffic jams. He had the courage to start Neuralink, which puts electrodes in people's heads, which got FDA approval in the United States. And he's done it. And now a person who's never been able to see in their whole life can see for the first time. So he has the courage, but I'm just using him as an example of someone who's famous that everyone knows. But I don't want you to start multi-billion-dollar companies. Everybody at your level can start a company. You need the courage. And that's what stops most people. They just don't have the courage. It's very, very sad. The fourth thing is you need determination, because there's going to be problems in any business. There's going to be problems with the bank. You're going to be short of cash. You don't have enough to make payroll. You don't have enough cash to pay back your loan on the 15th day of the month. A competitor opens next door and kills half your business. There's going to be issues, and you need determination. Everybody who's successful was in business for decades. Nobody got successful in an hour. Henry Ford was in business for decades. Warren Buffett's in business for decades. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they're all in business for decades. I've been on stage for 43 years and I'm world known. I wasn't world known after my first speech. Probably my first speech was terrible, but I'm now world known. And so you absolutely need determination, which means you have to love your business. You must love your business. And finally, keep reinventing yourself. Because even if you're branded and you observe the universe and find a hole in the universe and have the courage to start a business in that hole, and you have the determination to keep going, and even if you're successful, the universe changes on its own. And when it changes, you have to reinvent yourself. For example, a couple of years ago when artificial intelligence came out, I freaked. I didn't know what it was. Actually, no one knew what it was a couple of years ago. We just knew it was really big, but we didn't really know what it could do or nor how to use it. That's correct. And so I feared that nobody would need to take courses from me if AI could teach them anything. And so instead of fearing, I hired a guy and I said, how much will you charge me to sit beside you by Zoom for a week? Do whatever business you want. And then just talk to me whenever you have a chance for an entire week so I can learn AI. He said a giant number. I paid him in advance. And I learned AI and I adapted my business and my workshops to include AI instead of being afraid of it. Also, Twitter burst on the scene many years ago, and your maximum word length of your post could only be 140 characters. And as an old guy, I said 140 characters. I haven't even cleared my throat in 140 characters. What can this be? But I noticed it skyrocketed in fame and number of users. And so I changed my speeches so that the very first 3 or 4 seconds contained enough hook, enough excitement that I would capture them. So I would say something like, in this presentation, you are going to learn one enormous fact that you've never heard of any ever before in your life. And he was like, whoa, I need to learn it. But it's because Twitter taught me that. And so I adjusted and I keep adjusting and I keep adjusting. Some of my friends don't. longer in business. They're no longer professional speakers. So you must be branded typically by writing a book. You have to observe to find holes in the universe. You have to have the courage to fill that hole. You have to have the determination to keep going when things get rough. And then even when you're successful after all that, the world will change on you and you have to keep reinventing yourself.
Raymond, thank you so much. And everybody, all our listeners, take note. All our listeners, Raymond, they are entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneurs, people from corporate that want to be entrepreneurs, small business owner, medium-sized business owner, and large business owners. So it's a podcast for entrepreneurs. And Raymond, that is so amazing what you just shared is how important, right? People go out there and they build a product. And always telling them, don't build just a product, build a brand. When you exit your company, that brand is what they pay for, not you. So if you haven't built that brand, that determines the value that you can exit your company. So everybody, please take note because this is a master class for a worldwide renowned speaker. I can concur that because I've seen him with my own eyes. So then, Raymond, here at the Speakers and Leaders, uh, our statements, our mission is grow your business from a local to a global brand from something that you actually did it. So you are the living person of what we claim in the Speakers and Leaders. Because some people see this statement like, okay, Speakers and Leaders, you can grow your business from the stage and take from to a global brand. And people might think that is not possible. And I'm glad that you're here because you're the living experience of that because you did that. And I know it because I know you built a global brand from a local brand from Canada, a global brand from being a great speaker. And I have a pleasure even to see you in the green room. I saw you, Raymond, how you prepare before you go to a stage. I saw you walking behind the stage and getting ready onto the stage. And I'm thinking, wow, with the event, we went Les Brown was 1,300 people there. And several times I saw you in the green room. And I love the way that you prepare before you go to a stage. Don't take it for granted. You have such a discipline. And I was thinking, wow, this guy that has much experience that is speaking in thousands of stages. He doesn't really need to do this effort and that commitment before he goes to the stage. He's a great speaker. And yet, every time that I saw you speaking from large audiences, I saw you get onto stage to deliver the best that you can. And this is actually something I admire a lot. So tell us, Raymond, is it really possible to build from a local brand to a global brand from the stage or with the microphone, even in Zoom? Is it really possible or what are the challenges?
Okay, so I don't want to talk about speaking because not many of your viewers are professional speakers. So let's generalize it to any business. First of all, you need courage. And second of all, you need to overcome regulatory issues. So let me explain those two. When I first spoke, I spoke in my own hometown of Toronto, Canada, obviously. And I spoke for almost a year before I said, I wonder if somebody in another city wants to hear me speak. I said, no, that's too scary. Honestly, I was frightened of flying to another city, never mind America or Europe, just even another Canadian city. And I said, Raymond, there's nothing Torontonian about you. You're giving information that any Canadian would want. Why are you so frightened? It took me months. And finally, I found out what the newspaper was in Edmonton, and I bought ads in the Edmonton newspaper. And lo and behold, there actually were hotels in Edmonton, and I booked the hotels, and I stoked up the courage, and I flew there. And of course, I gave the speech, and it was well received, and I helped a lot of people. But even I had to overcome an enormous amount of fear. So one people might have is fear. Another, and combined with that is risk. Maybe where they are is very comfortable and they understand the risks, but going to a bigger audience would have bigger risks. I understand that. But the big issue, some people are saying, well, I'm a lawyer. I'm only licensed in this state or this province. Or I'm a physiotherapist. I'm only licensed in this province or this state. And many people have that regulatory issue. And here's how to overcome it. I'll use lawyer as an example. If you're a lawyer in a province or state or country, and you're only licensed there, then that's the truth. You can only practice law there. But you can make products, digital products that you can sell through the web anywhere in the world. So if you're a lawyer, you can create a kit that helps people create their wills, or you could produce other products. How do you defend yourself on a minor traffic charge, something like that? You can create products. If you're a physiotherapist, you can create products like, what do you do if your shoulder hurts? What do you do if you have headaches all the time? And you can create products and sell them on the web, and that overcomes the regulatory issue. And so I sell products. I know some of my friends do this silly thing. They say, when I wake up in the morning, I know what you do. You go pee. I don't. Beside my bed, I have a computer, and I open the computer to see how much money was deposited in my savings account. And here's an example. And then they show a picture on the screen of dozens and dozens of $1,000 bills deposited in their savings account. And everyone in the audience goes, oh, I want that. Doesn't actually work like that. But yes, indeed, I make sales all during the day and night. And Warren Buffett said, if you haven't figured out how to make money when you sleep, you will be forced to work until you die.
And Raymond, you see, you know what is bigger than a local brand? A global brand.
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
have, like we have, and I know the fact that worldwide recognized that your brand, it has an international recognition, right? And tell us what are the biggest challenge of build that international brand and how you become that challenge.
Well, I'll tell you one challenge I had. I was invited by someone I'd never heard of to speak in Dubai. And for Canadians, Dubai has this magical aura to it. It's so far away, and the buildings are so spectacular. It's like a magic kingdom. It's like Disneyland. And how he knew about me, and he said, "You're world famous." I said, "Oh, okay." But he heard about me through somebody. Anyways, we arrived, and he took all the speakers on a tour of the city, which was so wonderful. And then here's the answer to your question. He had us do a cultural indoctrination. And my first thought was, what's a cultural indoctrination? He said, there's things that you're not allowed to say, and there's things you're not allowed to do. I said, okay, like what, for example? And so we sat through this lecture, and we were told, if you're going to take pictures with the audience, different audience members, remember, don't touch a woman. Like typically, I put my hand around her, I put my hand on her shoulder, something like that, not in any sexual way, just, cozy, just take a picture. And there's certain jokes that you can't tell. You can't tell toilet jokes, you can't tell sex jokes. And so I had to change. I had to take out some of my jokes and put in different jokes. And at one point, lots of people came up after my speech at the break. They said, can I have a picture with you? Yes, of course. Can I have a picture with you? Yes, of course. Can I have a picture with you? Yes. I was happy. I was bubbly. I gave a great speech. There was a standing ovation. Lots of people wanted to take a picture with me. Suddenly, dead silence. What? What happened? And a guy walks up and says, you don't touch me. And I realized, oh my God, I was told that, but in the excitement, I just naturally put my arm around the person, man or woman, didn't matter to me. And oh my gosh, everybody noticed my gigantic transgression. Everybody noticed, everybody but me. Didn't matter to me. And so if you're going to go to a place far away, you'd better be prepared to understand the cultural norms. And I remember I was in New Zealand for my honeymoon, and I was invited to a Maori party. And in New Zealand, they have the most wonderful relationship between the Maoris and the whites. It's really wonderful. And when whites get invited to a Maori party, they're always honored. Anyways, there was no furniture in this house. We're all just sitting on the floor, lying on the floor. There was music, we were chatting. And I saw that every so often people got up, stepped over other people, and went to the washroom. So when I had to pee, I stood up, I stepped over people, music stopped, everybody looked at me, and my friend who had brought me there grabbed me, pulled me out of the room, and said, "You don't step over a Maori's head." I said, "I didn't realize it. I saw everybody stepping over bodies. I didn't know they were not stepping over the head. I didn't know it." And my white friend went to the Maori host and begged him. He didn't know. He's just a dumb white guy from North America. He didn't know. Please, please. And so they eventually let me back in. But if you don't know, you'll make mistakes.
100%. Yeah, we have. I have spoke several times in Dubai. I'm very aware of all of these rules, and the problem is that you do it unconscious. Yeah, and I
Yeah, that's
remember when
right.
we went to Singapore. There's also the same thing, right? That they are formal. Everything has to be very organized, and we play a lot of music in our workshops. We dance a lot, and people told me, Harry, don't start with this, all this dancing and all these things from the beginning. Allow them time because it's gonna take a while in Singapore for them to warm up, and that was true. That was true. I have to slow down, change things exactly what you saw that to the culture. However, Raymond, whatever it takes to be the global brand, because this
Can I tell,
look at
can
you
I
how
tell
you got
you,
invited to Dubai. You didn't
let me
know the
tell you,
person, you didn't know any time, and they told you, look, you have an international brand, and you end up in a country that you didn't know the organizer, you didn't know anybody there, just because you have a built a global brand, right?
can I tell you a funny thing that happened to me in Singapore? At the end of my speeches, if I'm offering something for sale, I raise my voice, I get all excited. And now it's not $10,000, it's only $997. Go to the back right now. And people get off their seat and they race to the back everywhere in the world. In Singapore, they got up, they raced not to the back table, to about 20 feet in front of the back table, and they all screeched to a stop. After, what happened? And then they lined up 20 feet from the back table,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
went one at politely, one at a time, because everybody in Singapore is used to following rules and being very, very respectful, never cutting line. But I was horrified. I thought, oh my gosh, they'd have
What
decided not to
happened
fight.
here? Yeah,
And
it's amazing.
another
Go ahead.
another cultural difference is that Filipina women are trained never to look in a man's eyes because it's disrespectful. So when a white guy who doesn't know the Filipino rules sees a Filipino woman with her eyes looking down, what we think is she's shy or has low self-esteem. But she's not, she's just being respectful. But we wouldn't know that.
So, Remo, my next question is why you do what you do? Because you clearly don't need the money. I know the fact that what you do, you clearly don't need the money. You're worldwide successful international speaker, so you're not doing it for the money. And what is more recognition can you actually achieve? Because I think that you achieve one of the greatest international speakers that has spoken in the world. You are my list with all the godfather of the personal development industry. I think that you're one of them, together with Mari Diamond and Maureen and all the old school speakers that that actually created that industry, the godfathers of the personal development. So you don't need anybody to tell you that you are a great speaker because it's worldwide recognized. You don't want anybody to tell you that you're a great author. It's already it's a public record. You're great. You clearly don't need the money. So why you do what you do? Why you're in Zoom with me now with Harry doing this podcast? Why do you keep helping people? Why you do what you do?
Okay, let me tell you a story. I was sitting on an airplane. I was chatting with the guy beside me, and he said, he's an electrician. I said, oh, I don't know any electricians. Tell me what it's like to be an electrician. And he said, September 14th, 2031. I said, what's that? He said, that's the day I retire. I said, you know the day you're going to retire? He says, everybody in the union does. I said, oh my gosh. To myself, I said, what a horrible thought. It's like getting out of jail. I said, why are you so eager to stop being an electrician? He said, it's the day I retire. As if Doesn't everybody eagerly want to get out of what they do all their life? And I don't. I can't wait to get up every morning. I'm 81 years old. I act like I'm 20. I I feel like I'm
Oh
25.
yeah, full of
And
energy, right?
I love what I do, and I'm really, really good at what I do. I'm a great author. I'm a great professional speaker. I'm a seminar leader. I'm a great Zoom host. I'm really great at what I do, and I love what I do. Now, you don't pay me for this. Every podcast guest is a guest for free. So why am I doing it? Because I love it. And I bumped into you long, long ago in the green room with Les Brown, and I never thought any more about it. You thought about me for the last 10 years until you finally invited me on your show. So I never know when I'm going to touch somebody's life. I never, ever know. And I love it. And if I retired, oh, I asked my coach, I said, all my friends are retiring. Why? Not my friends, sorry. I graduated in physics. And so all my friends are physics professors. And when I was 65 and they were 65, they all retired. So I asked my coach, am I a workaholic? Like, should I retire also? And he said, look it up. I said, look what up? He said, look up the word retire. I said, for God's sakes, I know what retire means. He says, look it up. So I looked it up, and retire, wait till you hear this, Harry, you'll cringe. Retire means to take out of useful service. And I said, to take out of useful service? Not for me. I want to be in useful service. I want to help people like crazy. I'm 81. I've decided to live in abundant health till age 120. That's who I am. And if I retired and I never gave another speech, what would I do? I would take up golf at my age and play a lousy game of golf, take up pickleball. Like, what would I do with my life? Sit and watch TV all day and eat ice cream and potato chips? Like, what would I do? And so I do lots of stuff for free. I give speeches at schools for free anytime I'm asked.
Oh, wow,
And yeah, I
wow.
do anytime. I love it. Because you never know, Harry, you never ever know. I I was a couple years ago with my wife, and I hear Raymond, like this just screamed my name. I turn around, I don't know who the guy is. He comes running over to me and he says, Raymond, 40 years ago, I took your real estate course. I did just what you said. I bought a piece of real estate, and then I bought another piece of real estate, and it went up in value, and I refinanced it and bought another piece of real estate. I now own 100 pieces of real estate. I'm a multi millionaire. I earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and it's all because of you. I'll buy you anything you want at Starbucks. And so I got a $6 coffee in Starbucks for making this guy a multimillionaire. But I mean, I never saw that guy for the last 30 years, but he bought real
Mhm.
estate, bought real estate, and he bought real estate, and he held on for 30 years. And now he's super wealthy.
It's amazing, Raymond, because you get paid in another currency. This happen usually to me as well around the world. But then when you see that you actually say something that transforms someone's life, the level of fulfillment that we experience out of that, there is no money that can pay that.
That's right.
That you get paid in another currency. People wish you love. People wish you to get well. You don't even get sick
Right.
because they have you in the mind, and they know that they learn something from you, and they know that what they learn from you changed their life. And even if you're not thinking of them, you don't even remember which state you say, and even what you said, they remember you, and they know that you have been a great contribution to their life, and to what they have achieved, the family and everything, because now this is a
Harry,
millionaire, so I spend time with the family.
let
So
me tell you
go ahead.
something funny. Let me tell you something funny. I'm in Edmonton. That's a major city in Canada. And after I ended my speech, a guy came up to me, a young man, and he said, hello, my name is Raymond. I said, oh, that's a coincidence. He said, no, it's not. My father attended
Oh,
the
wow.
very first speech that you ever gave. Remember, I told you I flew to Edmonton and gave a first speech outside of Toronto? My father attended the first speech you ever gave in Edmonton. And he bought real estate, and he bought real estate, and he became very wealthy. And he talks for all my entire growing up, age 1, age 2, age 3, age 4, all the way up to age 25. And now I saw your ad in the paper and I decided to come and see you. And he said, my father said that if he got married and if he had a child, and if his first child was a male, he would call him Raymond after me. And then the
Wow.
guy walked away, never saw him again. And so there are children named after me, for
Hmm.
God's sake. There are people who
Yeah.
became wildly famous or wildly wealthy because of me. And
Mhm.
I know some of these stories, but nowhere near as many as there actually are.
Yeah.
So it's a
I,
wonderful life. Why would I want to leave this life? Why would I want
yeah,
to be
Remo, you
faithful?
are an absolute legend. Yeah, in this industry, and all us that what that grow with you, see you speak. On the like I said, I not only been in the green zone with you, I also be sitting in your seminars. Yeah, and learning from you. The greatest speakers that from all times, and not only how passionate you were about those workshops that you were delivering, but how you lift everybody up, right? It doesn't matter. Some people will take your program, some people won't take the program. But I remember going out of your workshops, and everybody, every single person is lift up. Everybody is going thinking, I need to do something to change my life. Yeah, some of you did the course, of course, they did way better, but you were lifting everybody on global stage around the world, and it takes a lot of energy, Raymond, and it's very draining. I know because I've done it myself. So where do you find the energy? Where do you find and the biggest stages is even worse, right? This energy there is very, every time that I speak on the stage in these big stages, I think I lost 2 kilos. I'm very exhausted. After you give all this energy, you have those done thousands of speeches all over the world in large audiences. So where do you find the energy, and how you prepare to do these speaking tours, and yeah, where do you find the fuel
I get
physically exhausted?
I get the because I say to myself, there's going to be somebody in the audience whose life is momentously changed by me. Or reciprocally, my life, because I speak to many, many thousands or hundreds of thousands of people every year, but some of them get through. Some of them become friends of mine. Some of them change my life because of their story. Some of them marry me. My current wife, I love her. She's amazing. She was in the front row of one of the speeches that I gave.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
I never know how many people whose lives I will change. I never know when one of them will rise from obscurity and actually make an impact on me and change my life.
Last question, Raymond. I know your time is very valuable, but I have one last question to ask you, and it's regardless because when before COVID we were doing all these speakings. I was also doing those talks around the world in Singapore, Mexico, and Peru. I actually was doing a speaking tour in Peru when they closed down. I had to spend 111 days in Peru. They closed the airport. I was giving conference there. Remember, we did the first one, and the second one, they said 800 teachers, 400 in the morning and 400 in the afternoon. I'm thinking, why they want to split them? And of course, because there was COVID and they wanted to be separate and things like that. Well, bottom line, they closed the airport. The whole thing changed, Raymond. And in my personal experience, I like the stage, I like the people. This is what we were doing before. And now I'm resisting a little bit to the camera, to get in front of the camera. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to. Everybody will say, "Okay, you should do something in Zoom," and I'm resisting a lot. But eventually, we say, "Okay, you know what? Let's try to." I didn't even know what this Zoom was, so okay, let's see what this Zoom is. And so I start to do things, and I actually like it. I love to have this podcast with you. But I resisted a lot. I have hard time, Raymond, to kind of do hybrid. I also do speeches in as well, but to be the online presence. I would like to know your experience. Did you resist it to it? You or it came flawless? You've been in front of camera anyway because you're a celebrity, but you used to very big cameras. It's not the same. These big cameras from a scenario where you've been recorded and thousands of people listen to you. Completely different. But it's now you alone in front of camera with your message. So, what was your experience in that transition?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. For decades, wait till you hear this, this will shock you. For decades, I stepped onto an airplane 1.5 times a week. 1.5 times a week. And it killed my body because I would gain weight. I wouldn't eat properly. I didn't exercise properly because there was time zone changes and the excitement of a speech, and then hopping back on the airplane. And my wife would say to me, you know, our friends, yeah, well, they're about to get married and we've been invited, but you're probably not in town. I'd look at my calendar, and sure enough, I wasn't in town. I felt terrible. And so the social part of my life wasn't working. But the professional part of my life was spectacular. I loved it. And because I was such a frequent flyer, I was greeted at every airport. It was just a wonderful life. And finally, after decades, I said, when is this going to end? Am I going to be stepping on an airplane 1.5 times a week in my 90s, in my hundreds and tens? Like, how does it end? And then the lockdown saved my life. All of a sudden, I stopped traveling around the world, but I increased the number of speeches that I gave. Because in the past, if I
Oh,
had to give,
wow.
yeah, it's a miracle. Listen, if I had to give a speech in Sydney, Australia, it would take a day or two to get there, a day to recover, then an hour and a half to give my speech, and then 3 days to get back and recover. So that means I wasn't a professional speaker. I was a professional traveler. I traveled for 7 days. I only spoke for an hour and a half. Now I can sit with my wife at dinner and say, excuse me, I have an engagement in Australia. I'll be back in an hour. And I walk upstairs to my office right here.
Wow.
I speak in Australia and come back down in time for dinner. And then I can say, oh, by the way, I've got another engagement in Peru tomorrow morning. And then in London, England, that afternoon. I can give more speeches because there's no travel. And so I feel like I'm retired because there's no travel, but I'm actually giving more speeches. It's a very
Working.
strange. I'm helping more people and I'm
Yeah.
not. I give just 2 or 3 in hotel or in cruise ship speeches each
Mhm.
year, but very few. It
Oh,
used to
wow.
it used to be
Yeah.
I give 3 or 4 speeches a week. Now I give 5 or 6 or 7 speeches a week because there's no travel.
Definitely, we miss you in London. Yeah, I don't know in the other country, but over there we miss you a lot because you used to come there every year. I think twice a year, which you were a lot there in London and in that community of entrepreneurs that attended to your trainings, workshops, and all the life that you changed. So, Raymond, if someone is in with this conversation and want to get more of you, how people can find you, how this process work, can you share with the audience?
Okay. I would like to give everybody a gift. One of my most successful books has the title Double Your Income Doing What You Love. Double your income doing what you love. And I'm not asking them to buy it. I'm going to give it away for free. I've created a website, Harry, just for you. This is a website that didn't exist before. And it's called giftfromraymond.com. Giftfromraymond.com. Go there and you can download for free Double Your Income Doing What You Love. Giftfromraymond.com. And you'll automatically be in our database and will automatically inform you of speeches that I'm giving that you can attend anywhere in the world by the comfort of Zoom from your own living room. So giftfromraymond.com. Please go there. Please enjoy it. Please read my book and learn from it.
So, what's your last message, Raymond, for entrepreneurs out there that, yeah, they might have an amazing professional life? I relate with what you say because several times, more than once, I've been in Mexico and then I have to be in Singapore. And I have step over in London, only 3 hours because, the promoter buy you the ticket. And I cannot even sleep in my own bed. That happened to
Right.
me more than once. I mean, in London, I'm thinking, wow, my bed is so close, and I cannot
Yeah.
even sleep there because I had to end up all over the world. Yeah, and it sounds fun and it's amazing. You feel like you're a rock star, right? And every place you arrive, there is a race with you, the car, and then hundreds and hundreds of people with you. But I get overweight. This life balance um, thing. Like for example, for me now, I'm doing only United Kingdom and London. Just I love it in Dubai. I love it in Singapore. I love Latin America. But Raymond, I need uh, to keep it tight because there are other things important, like you mentioned, right? Work-life balance and maybe we give him time to give opportunity to other people. But what is the last message, Raymond, that you have for entrepreneurs that they are stuck, that they
Okay.
are winning professionally, but sometimes that can be a bubble and for our mental health or for our health. And what's your message to them?
Okay. I have two final messages. One is for all your listeners, and the other is just for you. The one for everyone is my final message is one of my favorite quotes, and that is live full, die empty. Live full, die empty. Don't creep safely to your grave. Give it all, give it up. When you die, there's nothing left, anyways. Just go for it. And for you personally, a giant thank you for inviting me on your show. I enjoyed it. You're a great host. And if you're going to give a speech in a hotel in England or in the United States, please tell the host about me and let's be in the green room again together.
Fantastic. That would be fantastic. So definitely we take these on board. We would be nice to have you in our workshops, a little drop by, and that would be fantastic. So thank you so much. That have been a pleasure. And all our listeners, I strongly recommend you to listen this podcast twice, three times. This is not just a podcast. This is a master class in branding. And if you take note and apply what Raymond just shared here in this podcast, you can make a huge difference in your life, and you know how to find him. He's someone that have worldwide experience, and I don't know how many thousands of people have you coached around the world, but it's a large number. So it's been a pleasure, not pleasure, an honor for me to have you here, and all of you following the podcast. See you in our next episode of Unstoppable. How great entrepreneurs like Raymond break that wall and achieve millions. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.